Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online and on the go. This is Valley News Live 10 at 10.
Time to start cleaning up and rebuilding after last night's strong winds ripped through some parts of the viewing area. That included Lake Park, Minnesota, where a building with several storage units was nearly leveled. Valley News Team's Molly Casey checked out the damage and talked with those who lost personal items.
You don't know what's in these storage units.
Tuesday night storms brought straight-line winds through Lake Park.
It blew the doors on the west side in, and then the building just went poof. Just lifted the roof right up.
The roof of the Becker storage building was blown over a quarter of a mile away, leaving items in the units exposed to the rain.
Oh, we'd pick up boxes and the bottoms would either fall out or we'd just tip them over and the water'd run out. 24 units were destroyed, and while some found their items like this jet ski relatively untouched, others lost items that aren't so easily replaced.
We had a lot of nice pictures in there that some got.
Becky Cusey and her husband had items from their previous home stored in a unit while their new home is being built, but now have to move it into their new garage.
This was just so handy to have, and we appreciated it.
The family that owns Becker Storage moved items to other units until they can rebuild, but note the damage extends beyond the building.
There's a lot of families and parties involved in this one.
From Lake Park, Molly Casey, Valley News Live.
The building's roof knocked down 3 power lines, which caused an outage that lasted for 9 hours. Power was finally restored by 9 this morning. 2 people are in custody tonight after a chase reaching speeds of more than 100 miles per hour in Clay County. Authorities say they tried to stop the car near Barnesville around 7:30 tonight, but the male driver took off with a female passenger. Both had warrants out for their arrest. The chase ended with law enforcement using stop sticks.
I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot that an individual, an officer has to think about on all these things. I mean, there's just so many factors that go in with it that we have to continually evaluate as the chase goes on. So I guess with that being said, it just has a lot. At what point do you get involved? Where do you use stop sticks? Do you use a pursuit intervention technique? And it all depends on a lot of different circumstances. This is one of the things that we do train for, and we train often.
No one was hurt in tonight's pursuit. More charges are expected against the driver, who was already wanted for possession of a controlled substance. Fargo City inspectors checked out several houses today, all belonging to the F5 project. Project founder Adam Martin says 6 of the group's sober houses were inspected to make sure the homes are up to code. This follows a Fargo City Commission meeting where Commissioner Dave Pepcorn said the F5 project must stop what they're doing because they were not following group home code. Martin says there are a few repairs that need to be done, and he's still waiting for an official letter from the city. The meeting is scheduled next month to revisit the code issue. We're also learning about another counterfeit case here in Fargo. Federal prosecutors are accusing a man of cashing thousands of dollars in counterfeit checks at several North Dakota banks. Investigators say that Mikey George is charged with 9 counts of bank fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to commit bank fraud. The value of the checks is estimated at around $24,000. George was arrested last week in Georgia. Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton has fired off a strongly worded letter to Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price. This after learning that Minnesota could be penalized for lowering health care premiums. During the legislative session, Minnesota lawmakers devoted $300 million to ease a spike in health care premiums and set up a reinsurance pool. That caused premiums this year to drop dramatically. The Trump administration now plans to cut hundreds of the millions of dollars from the state's MinCare program for the working poor.
I've never experienced anything like this. I can't even get Secretary of Health and Human Services on the telephone. I can't even get a phone number to call him to raise the issue.
These funding cuts would not impact Minnesotans until at least 2019. Nearly 100,000 people use the health care service, according to the governor's office. The search for survivors continues in Mexico following the deadliest earthquake to hit that country in 30 years. More than 50 people have been pulled from the rubble alive, but at least 230 people have died. Reporter Chris Martinez is near a demolished office building in Mexico City where crews are searching for people still unaccounted for.
Rescue teams in Mexico City pulled an elderly man from his demolished apartment building alive. as crews at an elementary school that partially collapsed during the powerful quake raced against the clock to find students and adults.
We've taken out a lot. There's about 20 kids that we still don't know how they are, if they're even alive.
Searchers repeatedly raised their arms throughout the day, pleading for silence, hoping to hear the cries of anyone trapped inside. They managed to pull a little boy and girl to safety earlier in the day, but at least 21 students and 4 teachers died. This young student says he escaped by crawling over a wall after the main exit became blocked by falling concrete. More than 40 buildings here in Mexico City have been reduced to rubble. Ordinary citizens have been joining the delicate mission to find survivors. Volunteer Alex Osario, a banker, was among those who helped free 4 people from this damaged office building.
They were making noise with metal so that the volunteers, the rescue, could hear that noise.
Gas leaks are permeating the air, and the rubble in affected towns is unstable. Many have been removing bricks by hand to avoid collapsing additional debris. Outside Mexico City, people in the other devastated areas have already begun burying the dead. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto has declared 3 days of national mourning to honor those lost.
President Donald Trump spoke to Mexico's president by phone today, offering his condolences along with assistance with search and rescue efforts. Puerto Rico is taking a beating from Maria, and the strongest storm to hit the U.S. territory in nearly 90 years. Hurricane Maria made landfall early this morning on Puerto Rico's southeast coast as a powerful Category 4 hurricane, then spent the day clobbering the rest of the island. Parts of the island may see up to 25 inches of rain, raising the threat of mudslides. Power is out across the island, and there's no timetable for getting the lights back on. The Grand Forks area is breathing easier after learning that an attempt to possibly close the Grand Forks Air Force Base failed in Washington, D.C. Legislation proposed earlier this week by Senator John McCain called for the Air Force to realign and possibly close bases around the world. That legislation died, however. Nearly 4,000 people currently work on the Grand Forks Air Force Base. It's the second largest employer in Grand Forks County and has financial impacts for the local economy to the tune of around $250 million.
The direction of the base is changing, obviously. And just because we don't hear the sonic boom and we don't see the jets flying, there's still stuff going on out there.
The base is banking on drones and its strategic location as assets for its future existence. The popular country music group Little Big Town is coming to Grand Forks. They've scheduled a performance March 17th at the Ralph Engelstad Arena. The stop is part of the band's The Breaking Tour, which begins in February. Country band Midland and singer Casey Musgraves will join the group for its 26-city tour. Tickets for that concert will go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. at littlebigtown.com. Miss America is making a stop here on Valley News Live. Former Miss North Dakota, Cara Mund, will be appearing on the North Dakota Today, Friday at 9. We've also learned today that a new Miss North Dakota has been named to take her place. Lizzie Jensen previously held the title of Miss West Fargo. There's going to be an official coronation ceremony for Jensen in November.